Gulf Coast sunset and a Delta dawn.
Welcome back to SuperTalk Outdoors, the second edition of SuperTalk Outdoors. I have Cuz Strickland and my friend Toxey Haas from Mossy Oaks joining us. And when we went to break, we were really talking about this overall experience around the outdoors. It's not just about the hunting or the fishing. It's just experience of being together in this incredible nature. And, man, Toxey, you never get old of it, do you? Actually, the older you get, the more appreciative you get of it, isn't it? Isn't that true?
I think so. No doubt about it. You know, at the core of all of us is that connection with the earth. I mean, we're a part of it. If you think about that in the really, really big picture of things. And so all of this stuff we talked about, you were just before the break talking about the whole gamekeeper thing. And you talked about, you know, going to your place and having your kids and grandkids, everybody working together on the place. There's just, beyond the superficial part of, you know, we're making a place to go hunting this fall. It's just that connection. And I think it's the fastest growing, most popular thing in all of the outdoors now is being a quote unquote gamekeeper. And it's because of a lot of times people don't even realize how strong that tie is to the earth that we all have. And I just kind of cry for people who don't understand it or don't get to experience it. I'm not to knock the metro life, but live in a city in such a way that they don't appreciate that. I wish that we could get that to more people. They don't have to own their own place whatsoever, because really being a gamekeeper is more of a mindset than, you know, I own land or I work on land in particular. But I just think that it's what we're put here for. You know, it's our calling.
It is our calling, man. We planted the last 8 food plots in the rain. And we didn't get stuck till just before the last one. But, you know, people who don't know Delta gumbo, they need to experience it once in their life, don't they, Cuz?
Yeah, that's a whole, that stuff came from like Mars or something. You can use it for bricks or granite or whatever. I feel for you.
Yeah, when it gets wet, you know, if it's got a really packed surface, if it gets wet, I call it ice mud because if there's any slant to it whatsoever, you're just going to slide off, which is what happened to us. But you know what? Even in those moments, we were lucky we didn't break anything. But even in those moments, it's just great. It's great stories to tell later, isn't it, Cuz?
Well, you got to have those. People always talk about, you know, their young kids and grandkids are always on the phone. Well, that's just kind of part of their world now. Like we had the drive-in. So what you got to do is you got to offer them something in exchange for that. So I'm big on making a list like, hey, Saturday, we're going to do this, this, and this. And you got to keep them busy. And they love it. They love taking on responsibility. You know, I got a 12-year-old that's running a tractor, you know, very safe and all that. And the other one's hand throwing seed. And when they get through, their little chest is stuck out. You know, it's like, that's how you learn to be, you know, good people and little men and great. You know, my granddaughter who just started at Mississippi State, that's how old I am. One time, and Toxey gave me advice. He said, spend more time on your pond than you do your food plots. And me and my granddaughter at the time, she was about 7 or 8. Caught a bunch of catfish. We had a fish fry that night. We were sitting there and she said, hey, Pop. And I said, what? She said, we caught the fish and then we cleaned the fish. Me and you cooked the fish. She said, that's really cool, isn't it? I was like, that just flew all over me. You know, she's not a big hunter, but she gets it. And that's all any of us ever want is to, hey, this is where food comes from. You know, sweat of your brow and stuff like that. That's why it's been so fun working at Mossy Oak. That's not like some marketing ploy. It's just like he said earlier, that's how we roll. That's just fun to be around.
Toxey, I was at my place in the Delta last year. We went down in the corner where we'd left some corn, and I had my 3-year-old grandson with me, and I picked a corn, and I started to peel it back and revealed the corn underneath, and he screams, corn! He didn't realize what was going to be happening, and I got it on video. And it's priceless. It's literally, I posted it and people just reacted to it and loved it. But every moment like that, when you're around your grandkids or in your case, your sons, it's just another memory, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we just feel like, I mean, we talk about it a lot. It's in all the things we do. It's the businesses, but I just feel like you know, I guess two messages to people out there I'd say is one, we're more concerned with being a good example than trying to be preachy about anything necessarily. And I think that best for all of us that care greatly for the outdoors is through your actions and what you do and how you live your life. Be a good example. That's the best way to attract people to what's going on and win them over and help them see the way forward in being in the outdoors. And the second thing I would say would be don't ever compare. You hit on the word a minute ago, and I think Cuz too, that makes our life more complete than anything probably is that we're always grateful. I mean, whether you have 4 acres or 40 acres or 400 acres, it really doesn't matter. Just to be grateful to be able to get outdoors in today's world and get to that place with your family, with your friends, and have that peace. When you just look around just a little bit, one thing modern media does, let you see what's going on around the world. And if you can't be grateful to live in Mississippi and have the heritage and the outdoor opportunities we do, and honestly, even since a kid, I've been so proud of how we've managed that. Even, politics get in the way a little bit, but for the most part, I'd say we are a shining example of all states in the country. And our natural resources is who we are. More than any state, just about,
Well, if you think about that theme song for the show, One Mississippi by Steve Azar, when we're in the outdoors together, no matter what our disagreements might be when we're not in the outdoors, when we get to the outdoors together, it's the one thing that kind of brings us all together. One of the things that's interesting, because, I went to your sort of catalog of videos that go way back. And you've done a great job of sort of arranging them in a way that allows us to, as consumers to go take a look at it on your website. And so there are so many stories. I mean, I was reminded, because I do remember this, the whole water buck episode, because when you had to retrieve the buck in your long johns and the fun people had with that. But Toxey, when you look back, how do you decide what experience with Cuz sticks out the most?
That's like asking me, what stands out the most with my dad or what stands out the most with my kids and, those closest to me. It's hard to say. There's a combination of something like that early on. That one is a landmark for both of us forever. But honestly, the thing that I would say that's more important than an individual event is the fact that in today's world, especially when COVID hit, and is that relationship that's just as close to unconditional as you can get. We can go without seeing each other, and it's a week or a couple of weeks or just a day or two, it doesn't make any difference. And we pick right up where we left off. And for me, that's so, I can't even put a value on that. And the love and the chemistry and the bond from all those early days is completely intact, no matter what. That, to me, is what I would say is the biggest thing of all. And you just don't get that with everybody. Quite honestly, I don't get that with everybody. You strive for it, but with me and Cuz, it's something that was just, I don't know. He knows it too. Without saying a word, it was intended to be somehow, some way, just a long time ago before we got here.
Texas,
when you say
excuse me, Cuz, what would you add to that?
I can't add much to it. I mean, we've had so many, but I can tell you when I made up my mind about Toxey's, when I first went to work there, we were struggling. I mean, me and Bill Sugg and Bob Dixon were having contests to see who could stay in the cheapest motel. It was crazy. And my wife got seriously ill. We went through a bout of cancer. I'm going to try to get through this without getting shook up. And, new company, fledgling, we didn't have any money. And Toxey, he would call me we stayed 8 weeks in the hospital at Jackson. He'd call every other day. What do you need? What's going on? And then him and Bill Suggs showed up one day there with a sock full of change for those vending machines in the hospital. And I told Pam, we got through this. I said, he may fire me, but I said, I can tell you one thing, I'm never going to work for another person. Stuff like that, and I'm not sucking up because he's sitting there. I'm just telling you, that kind of stuff's impactful. And when you see it, you got to know that's a defining moment.
I often talked about this book called Built to Last on Coast View. I was a CEO the last 15 and 16 years of my career. And this whole notion of how to build a company that lasts. Mossy Oak sort of fits that mold, which is build into the company these enduring core values that will really stand the test of time. And think about Walmart and how Walmart was built. When Sam Walton passed away, Walmart continued to move forward because they'd built into this company these enduring core values that really helped the company survive long after their sort of transformational leader had passed. But, you know, that's the key to success today. You have those, when you have those enduring core values, in Mossy Oak's case, this whole notion of saying sort of pure to the notion of creating a company that protects the environment and believes in conservation, all these connections, whether it be real estate or seeds or trees or whatever. It's amazing what you can build when you build a company like that. And Mossy Oaks, my guess is it was built to last. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Cuz Strickland and Toxey Haas from Mossy Oaks. See you after this break.
I breathe Mississippi till